Hi there, come on in. I'm Fred Trost, and I have a couple fellas here with me who actually won the fishing trip at the Channel 23 auction. A fishing trip with me for the weekend, and we're here at Harsens Island. Do you fellas ever fish down here in this area, Lake St. Clair?
No, the first time here, and we're really looking forward to going out. We've fished in other countries, and we're really happy to be here.
Other countries? Where?
Oh, we've been in Mexico and Hawaii, which is not another country now. And,
well, we're going to have some comparison here, okay? Mark Waters, you're a student at
University of Michigan.
Okay, and then Jim Waters, you happen to be on the Board of Regents?
That's correct, at the University of Michigan for 11 years now.
Wow, and you're a lawyer in Muskegon?
Yes.
Okay, well, you have the rundown on these fellas. They're ready to go fishing. They fished a lot of other places. How has Michigan fishing treated you in the past?
Not too good. We haven't had much luck in Michigan.
We're going to try to change that right now, so stick around. We're going to start fishing right down here at Harsens Island in Lake St. Clair with Jim and Mark Waters in just a minute. Stick around. It's Thursday night and time for Michigan Outdoors. Harsens Island, Lake St. Clair. We're going to take these fellas fishing here. Jim, we're going to put you on the boat here with Lou Borer, all right?
Fine.
Why don't you meet Lou? Lou is with the Michigan Bass Busters, Oakland County chapter.
It's nice meeting you, Lou.
Nice meeting you.
Okay, he's one of the founding fathers. You go get right on there, Jim.
Step aboard.
Okay, this is his first time fishing in a bass boat. Okay, Mark, your dad's all set on the blue one here. This is Art Franklin.
Mark?
Hi, how you doing?
Glad to know you, sir.
Okay, now, you never fished a bass boat either?
No, I haven't.
You ever caught bass?
A couple. I was fishing for something else, but bass jumped on the line.
What about pike?
Caught 2 or 3 pike.
Okay, well, hey, you better catch at least 2 or 3 pike today, Mark. Go ahead, step up there with Art. Both of these fellas are with the Michigan Bass Busters. In fact, they were founding fathers, and we're going to go over here to our camera boat. My old friend, Ron Spittler. How you doing, Ron?
Okay, Fred.
Here, help me aboard.
Welcome
Oh, okay, well, thank you. Hey, now, we have these fellas out here who, haven't caught that many fish, and this is your district, the Pontiac district, the DNR, District 14.
That's true, and it's full of a lot of largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, and northern pike we want to get these fellows involved with today.
Okay, well, Ron is the district fish biologist down here in southeast Michigan, and Ron, if Lou and Art, the Bass Busters, and you, the fish biologist, can't catch them, what are we going to say?
We better just quit.
Okay. Well, we're optimistic. Let's go fishing.
All right.
We took off at about 6:30 in the morning. The sun was just coming up. Jim and Mark Waters were in for a treat. Riding in a bass boat is a thrill in itself. They'll scoot along the water at speeds close to 60 miles an hour. Well, the sun was bright, even early. Not a cloud in the sky. We were fishing shallow water, midsummer, all day long. And we did get fish. Okay, well, Art and Mark have started fishing here. Looks like they're using spinner baits, Ron.
Yeah, spinner baits are very effective for bass out in the flats out here. They go through the weeds like a weedless lure, which they actually are, and they create a lot of vibration and action in the water. Really draw the fish.
This is really quite a marshland here. I've never fished this particular area. Great duck hunting territory, looks like.
Certainly is, and it's a great spawning area for all kinds of warm water fish. There's just thousands of acres of it out here, and it's just wonderful fishing.
Looks like on this Saturday morning that there's almost an angler behind every little clump of weeds.
Yeah, it's a popular area. There's no doubt about that. And lots of fish to go around.
Okay, well, they're going to be casting here. We're right along shore. And where will we be working today? Around these weed beds like this?
Right, we're in Muskemoot Bay right now, and the smallmouth bass have been fairly heavy in the reeds out in the outer bay. And that's where we'll be spending some time this morning to figure out whether they're still here, and maybe we'll get a couple largemouth or pike while we're looking for them.
Okay, well, this is the first 5 minutes of fishing. I guess Art said that he had one on. Mark has given it a try, his first crack at this type of fishing. Keep our fingers crossed, see if we can get some big ones. Oh, got one. You got one, Ron?
I got a pike.
Okay, got 2 on at once at long last.
Oh, wait, it might be out of your pike here.
Yours is feistier? Okay.
Let me just bring it on in.
Go ahead, bring yours in. Go ahead and get that. 1 pike aboard.
Naturally, we're bass fishing.
Yeah, we're fishing for bass. Hey, that's a nice one.
Finally.
I told you they were in here.
I owe you a nickel.
A nickel, we should have stuck with $1.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a nice one.
Yeah, it's kind of
You want the net?
No.
You gonna risk that?
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Here we go. That's what we're after.
You bet.
Called smallmouth bass.
Hey, I think it's our second legal one, Ron. Well, we got a pretty good spot here. Hey, this is bigger than the last one. Okay. Well, I didn't have him hooked that well, but this old white spinnerbait does the job. There it is. Look at that. Second legal northern pike. Now, well, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Oh, look at that.
That's fun. That's
Yeah,
my
a
fish.
nice one there. Well, that's number 2 for you.
Well, we try hard.
Yeah. Okay, it's 2 pike to 2 smallmouth.
That one will go, what, 2.5 maybe?
Sure.
Nice fish. Okay, let's see if we can get him in all the weeds.
Well, Ron, you are the bass man.
That's called a largemouth bass coming in there. They hit that spinnerbait. Oh, he's wrapping up in the weeds.
Well, oh, he's spunky.
Bring him in.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Another.
Well, we're doing pretty good here.
He's good.
Lake St. Clair, you know, I honestly didn't realize, I'd never fished this area before, but I honestly didn't realize they had bass like this.
There's some nice bass out here. I enjoy fishing it for obvious reasons.
Right. You only have to look around you on a weekend in Anchor Bay to see some of those obvious reasons. And when I see something as attractive as someone with a good-looking bass, I can't resist taking a few pictures. We didn't catch a lot of fish, but everyone was happy, including Jim and Mark. We all had a ball.
That's a nice smallmouth bass.
That sure is. That sure is. But, you know, we caught all of these in water that was 3 feet or less.
In bright sunshine, like we're not supposed to. But the spinnerbaits and the dense weeds are a good combination for this kind of weather.
So you say the fish are there. I mean, we were fishing in water that sometimes was a foot deep.
That's true. And we pulled out, 2, 3 pike that were keepers and 3 bass, so that wasn't too bad.
Sounds crazy, but it does work. It takes some skill to fish like this. Well, let me get back and talk to our guys here who came on this fishing trip. I want to thank all of you for making this such a good time and a pleasant day. But tomorrow, you know where we're going.
We're coming back out tomorrow?
Well, we're not going right here. We're going to go with Captain Bob Pichet. We're going to go for walleye in the morning and muskie in the afternoon.
That sounds great. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, I'll tell you what. We're not going to have the camera crew with us, but we're going to put the pictures of the fish you catch in our trophy report. Okay. In fact, it's hard to believe, but that trophy report is coming up right now. Our Sunday trip was trolling on Lake St. Clair with Captain Bob Pichet. Now, Bob, you remember, is the worm man. He raises and stores night crawlers for fishing, keeping them on the boat in a small styrofoam container filled with worms and ice. That's right, ice keeps the crawlers fresh, firm, and alive. Bob uses crawlers on harnesses, and he puts them on flatfish, hooking them on 2 of the 3 hooks. But it works, and Mark Waters hauled in his share of walleye and some perch, along with Jim, who said he'd never caught so many fish before. Nearly all of them were legal size, and we ended with a limit for Mark and Jim. In fact, one walleye went about 5 pounds, so they were happy. Also, Bob and Joanna Pichet, like our bass fishing friends the day before, were super hosts, and I think all of them should be named our Michigan Outdoors Trophy Anglers of the Week. There's no doubt about it. Little Buzz you here is a rattlesnake. Glenn Dutterer, wildlife extension man from Michigan State here at the Cooperative Extension Service. You bring the strangest things to Michigan Outdoors. Tell us about this. Is it a strange creature in Michigan?
Well, an uncommon creature in Michigan, a Massasauga rattlesnake, and it occurs in habitat like you see behind us, a prairie.
Right here, marshes?
Marsh, right, marsh or swamp. Another name for it is the prairie marsh rattlesnake. And so in these habitats, it can be fairly common, but because these habitats aren't abundant, that means that this snake is fairly uncommon in Michigan, but I wouldn't call it rare.
Well, you would call it poisonous, though.
Oh, yes, definitely. It's a member of the rattlesnake family. Obvious because of those rattles that you see on its tail. And the number of rattles don't indicate the age or anything, just the number of times it shed its skin and hadn't broke off. But no other snake except the rattlesnake has rattles, and this is the only poisonous snake that occurs in Michigan.
Okay, so the only one that anybody has to worry about is this.
That's right.
How much, who has to worry about it? How much do they have to worry?
Well, there's...
People are going to be afraid, you know,
That's
when
right.
we put this on the air.
Right. I first warn fishermen, because in getting to their favorite lake or stream, they'll go through habitat like this. And so in August or July, you want to be wearing boots and blue jeans and be on the alert. Berry pickers, blueberry pickers are often in this kind of habitat. And then finally, and this is for everybody, people who would, coming back from a vacation, stop along the edge of a roadside to let Junior relieve himself at night, because at night these snakes come out of the marshes and sun themselves on adjacent road beds that have been warmed by the sun. And so the edge of a roadside on a deserted stretch of road in Michigan can be an unsafe place in the summertime.
How unsafe? I mean, let's not make a big panic here.
Well, most of the snake bites are often with young male children that occurred at night on the edge of a road.
I'll be darned, I didn't know
So, you know, a roadside next to a marsh in August is not a
that. Good place to let
good
Junior.
place
Okay.
to go,
I
right?
think we have that point made. Well, why don't we put the snake down and see what it looks like when it's,
All right.
when it's on the ground. Now, how far away do I have to stay from this?
Well, snakes can strike about a third to a half their length.
Oh, so
you-
that's not bad.
Sorry, so this is about 24 inches or so, and so roughly 9 inches or so would be about all he could strike.
You gonna let him go?
No, I'm gonna keep this head under control.
Are you? Well, why don't you use a snake stick? Let's.
All right, let's.
Could we
let's
see what
get
it looks like?
The belly is dark. Let's see if I can pick him up. He's
feisty, isn't he?
He's feisty, and I don't want him to hurt himself. So, and he keeps twisting his head. His belly is black, as you can see, and
He's opening his.
he's opening his
cute little mouth now.
and you can see those fangs. He'll do that one more time.
Yeah, get it around and see if we can get a good close-up on those fangs. That's where the poison comes from.
If you'll use that snake stick and perhaps just tease him a little bit.
Oh, he's biting on that baby. Now, does he have a lot of venom?
No, it's a small snake, and so although the poison is potent, he delivers very little bit of it. So although their bites are serious and can make you quite ill, as far as being fatal, not likely. I think the fatality rate for all rattlesnakes is about 18%, and would be even less for these little guys.
Is there any way that you could tame this snake so you could let go of its head sometime?
No,
No way, ever.
no. They get accustomed to handling, but you would never want to give them a chance to use that, because they will strike.
Okay.
Some other
There's
things-
no way you could put it down and see what it looks like
Well,
moving around here? Well, there he is. Will he coil up?
I think so, yeah.
Oh.
Yes,
Playing with a, ooh.
they're not aggressive
That
snakes.
scares me.
You know, and it doesn't attack.
Now, he'd like to get into that marshland and he'd be gone.
He surely would.
Now,
That's
how are you
where
going to
he'd
get him
like
in the
go.
box?
We'll use a snake stick, like this.
Cameraman loves this. Flip him into the box. Well, this is a Michigan Massasauga rattlesnake. Woo!
Like that.
There we go, in the box. Well, any final comments or warnings? Is it that serious, Glenn?
No,
Do
it's
people have
not.
to really worry about it?
No, they don't have to worry about it. The only case that I would say you'd have to worry about these things was if your yard backed up directly to a marsh, and if you had small children, then you'd want to perhaps take some precautions.
Otherwise,
Just because it's a blotched snake, don't kill it. It may be a very beneficial snake to have around.
big story in the news last winter was Pontiac Lake. Die-off of all the fish in the lake. The DNR drew down the lake levels to repair the dam there. They didn't provide sufficient aeration due to, a few human errors, Ron Spritler?
Yes, under the ice, without the green plants and lots of sunlight, the oxygen wasn't sufficient to support a tremendous population of crowded fish, and they died.
All of them died. Aeration maybe could have been provided, but there were mistakes made, and a federal case was made out of Pontiac Lake. Well, the DNR has been working hard to restock the lake, to
to get the populations of fish back so everybody will be happy once again. Have you been doing, what type of species and how much have you been doing recently, Ron?
Well, we've been putting adult as well as fingerling species of most of what was in there before, including an awful lot of channel catfish to provide more instant fishing.
You've been putting bass in?
Bass, bluegills, crappies, perch, all the good stuff that was there before, and attempting to get a fishery back right away.
Okay, now a lot of these fish you've bought from other states, from hatcheries, as adult fish to bring them up in tanks, trucks, and so on, and put them in there.
Particularly largemouth bass, which are very, very hard to come by.
Okay, let's talk about what maybe you saw in the news a week ago Sunday in the Detroit television stations that covered a story, another massive, terrible happening at Pontiac Lake. Ron Spittler, what was it that you saw in the news as you sat at home and watched the story being told?
Well, what I'm told occurred, because I've got secondhand accounts of from many sources, was that a couple of women collected a number of fish, probably 100, 125.
That had died?
That had died and floated to the surface. These were known to us, but they collected them for us, I guess. And they called the news station. The reporter went out, interviewed them without the benefit of anyone from DNR being there to tell essentially what really happened, what we were doing.
Now, what went out in the news?
Well, on that evening on the 11 o'clock news, these women said that the fish had fin rot and tail rot. They were contaminating the rest of the fish in the lake, would probably have to be killed off. That the water was polluted from what we had done. That the fish had pinworms, which are associated to humans, not fish. And that the largemouth bass we planted on Thursday had contaminated smallmouth bass. That's what they claimed they had, agreed upon by the news commentator who looked at them and said, yeah, those are smallmouth. And 125 of them showed up magically because we'd never had smallmouth in Pontiac Lake.
And what about the threat to human health? Was anything said about that?
Well, yes. I believe one comment, a direct quote, which has passed me by more than one source, was, God help anyone who eats fish out of Pontiac Lake.
Isn't it true that a child became sick after swimming there?
That was one of the panicky phone calls we got within the next 2 days from a number of people. This mother called me. She had a 9-year-old that had been swimming in Pontiac Lake on Sunday. He had a fever, and she wondered what she had to do to save him.
She attributed his fever to what she read in the papers or saw on the news.
The pollution and the dead and dying fish in Pontiac Lake.
In a nutshell, Ron Spittler, you say that this is all wrong. Why don't you set the record straight?
Okay. Last week, we sent a hatchery crew with a semi-truck unit down to Arkansas to pick up roughly 2,000 bass from 8 inches to adult size, a pound, 2 pounds, to haul back to Michigan to plant in Pontiac Lake. These we were purchasing. The fish were badly handled by the private hatchery, and we have lots of information about that, so I won't go into detail. They were stressed, and they came up on the truck as best we could handle them, and when we opened the gate to plant them in the lake, everything flushed out, and immediately we picked up 325 dead ones. Over the next couple of days, then, others did, in fact, die and float to the surface, as would be expected from badly stressed fish.
So these are the ones that the ladies picked up?
Yes.
Okay, let's go through some of the things they said. Were there smallmouth bass that died in Pontiac Lake?
No, there were not, because we hadn't stocked them. They weren't present before in any numbers.
So those fish were misidentified. Is there fin rot in the fish in Pontiac Lake?
No, we sent a number of samples over to the hatchery pathologist at Wolf Lake Hatchery, and he confirmed that there were some internal parasites, which are common to fish in Michigan as well, and an internal bacteria, which is also common to fish in Michigan, and that the fish were damaged, gill covers were broken, fin rays were broken and damaged, scales were missing, all causative or caused by stress, probably in the handling in Arkansas.
But no serious fin rot or communicable diseases?
Nothing like that.
Pinworms that could be communicated to man?
Nothing that can hurt people.
The water in Pontiac Lake is polluted and poisoned?
Not at all. It's the same as it's ever been, and it's clean enough to swim in. Some people probably even drink it.
If a child swims in the lake, he'll get a fever?
Not at all.
And God help anybody who eats the fish from Pontiac Lake?
I won't have any problems with eating fish from Pontiac Lake.
Okay, now when will the fishing come back in Pontiac Lake, according to you from the DNR, District Fish Biologist?
Well, we're still working on stocking fish. We're behind schedule because of the difficulty in getting adult fish, which is really the main emphasis right now. We've got a lot of reproduction. We've got 30,000 pounds of channel catfish, and we've got probably good fishing coming up next year and excellent fishing the following year.
Will it be back to normal in 2 or 3 years?
It'll probably be better because we'll have a better bluegill and crappie population than we've had before.
Well, that's the story about Pontiac Lake. Draw your own conclusions. Ron Spittler says what you read in the news was malarkey.
Speaking of fish that have a tough road to hoe in life, these little fish right here, freshwater drum, have a particularly rough time. They're abundant in Lake St. Clair, but most anglers won't even consider keeping them in the boat. They throw them out. They think they're trash fish, bad eating. Well, I learned a recipe last weekend where you take the fillets and you can cook them up and serve them in a way that if they're with cocktail sauce or butter, wow, you won't believe it. But I had to con these charter boat captains into trying it. Watch what happened.
Now it's time for, we're going to do two things right now. We're going to do a start in on a recipe, which is just outstanding, and we're going to introduce the fellas that we're going to be fishing with next week on Michigan Outdoors, Captain Roy Aldous. Roy, we're looking forward to it. What are we going to catch, walleye, muskie?
We're going to go for walleye, and we're going to go for muskie, too.
Okay, well, we have Nick here and Dave and Dan. I have a treat for you guys. Why don't you try this, you know, this little special cocktail we have here. There's melted butter, some cocktail sauce. Give it a try. Dip it in, you know, whichever one you want. I want to know what you think of this. You're trying it in the melted butter. Roy is. How's it taste?
Delicious.
It is delicious? Dan?
Excellent.
It is? What did you dip it in? Oh, you
Butter.
put lemon on it and dipped it in the butter. Okay, now I want to get around here to Captain Dave. We got 2 good reviews on this recipe so far. Dave?
Great. I put it in the sauce. It's great.
What does it taste like? Shrimp, or-
I think it's pickerel.
You think it's pickerel? What do you think it is, Dan?
It's hard to say.
Okay, well, let's move around here. Nick, you've dug into it. What have you tried it in, the butter or the cocktail sauce?
Did a little bit of both, Fred. It's excellent.
Now, hold it. What did you say, Dan?
Tastes a little bit like lobster.
It's like lobster. No kidding.
A little like shrimp.
A little like shrimp. What about you, Roy?
I think it's fish.
You think it's fish? I'm going to tell you guys what it is, okay? Get back on a wide shot. Get back on a wide shot. What did you say, Dan?
Probably sheephead.
It's sheepshead. That's what it
I'll
is.
tell you one thing, Fred. The heck if I'll be throwing my sheephead away.
That's why I was saving them.
Right.
That's why I always save them out on the trips.
First time I've ever ate it. Delicious. First time I've ever ate sheephead in my life. I'll never throw them back now.
Okay, you guys know how I cooked it?
No, I like to know.
You would?
Really.
I couldn't believe it when you kept the sheephead on the boat.
Well, let's get around here. This is interesting. Sheepshead really takes a lot of bum raps.
I couldn't believe it when you kept the sheephead. I wondered why you wanted to keep them. I thought you were just, you know.
And you know, I've known all day long that I'm going to feed this to you guys, and you're going to love it. You're going to think it's lobster or shrimp. The recipe, I'm going to tell you how to do it in just a moment.
Right now we have a big event occurring right here on Michigan Outdoors, the revealing of the recipe for sheepshead, a fish that most anglers seem to consider trash. Well, I got this recipe from Don Oakes, a charter captain in Lake St. Clair. He said this is what you do. You take 2 quarts of boiling water, or 3 quarts of boiling water, excuse me, and 1 cup of salt. Wait till it gets rolling to a boil. Put your fillets in a basket. No more than 3 or 4 minutes. That's all you do, 3 or 4 minutes. What comes out of here is an awful lot like monkfish. Honestly, monkfish, you know, they cost $3.50 or so a pound, and what they call poor man's lobster. Well, you could call sheepshead poor man's shrimp. It has the same texture as monkfish. Look what happens when you use another fish. This is some crappie that I just cooked up a few minutes ago, and it falls apart. Tasty, but it falls apart. So sheepshead is unique, destined to become a delicacy. So serve it just like you would lobster with butter or shrimp with cocktail sauce. And even the Canadian charter captains will tell you that this dish is a delicacy, surprisingly good. In fact, this little dish right here changed their whole attitude towards sheepshead.
Go ahead, say you something.
It's excellent. And I'll tell you one thing, Fred. I'm a little mad at you right now.
You're a little mad at me. How come?
I threw about 5 or 6 sheephead away. Walleye fishing today. This is excellent.
Yeah, you thought it was pickerel.
At least 8 or 10 away.
I threw 500 away all year.
What?
It tastes just like shrimp.
I think it tastes just like lobster dipped in butter.
I know, you dip it in butter, it tastes like lobster.
The only thing difference, Fred, for a shrimp cocktail, you're probably paying the average between $5 and $7 for it. And this, it's free.
That's right.
I didn't want to say that. When I seen him keeping sheephead, I said, oh yeah, Fred's keeping sheephead.
I'll tell you what, if you don't want to keep your sheepshead, put them in a box and send them to me, because I love them, and I think all of my friends do too right now. Walleye is picking up, and perch fishing, as well as muskie, and we're going to do some of that next week. And Breast Bay, of course, is tops for walleye and perch. So I hope you have an enjoyable weekend outdoors. We're going to be out there fishing. See you next week.
From the rugged shore and woodlands of the north, its history of copper mines and iron ore, the Great Lakes fisheries. To the farmlands of the southern counties we'll look around again, and all that waits the sportsman in the state of Michigan.